This is BT's Game of the Week. I mean, there you go. I mean, there it is right there. BT, over to you, mate. The Game of the Week, there's a couple to choose from, I think. So I'm interested to see where you go with this.
So I was tossing up between two, the Thursday and the Friday night game. So we could have done Carlton versus Geelong Thursday night, which I think will be an absolute cracker. Carlton obviously coming off a draw and Geelong coming off a loss.
Well, why didn't you go with it? What?
Because I think the next game, the Friday night game between Brisbane and Melbourne, I think is actually more important based on Brisbane starting off with a loss and how good Melbourne actually looked against the Bulldogs.
Right.
So, if going into this game, if Brisbane obviously lose and start the season 0-2, and one of those games being at home, where we said they will be very hard to beat, then that's obviously a worry for their season. And on the flip side of that, it would be Melbourne starting the season off 2-0 and beating Brisbane away from home. They're going to be very hard to beat. So, I think this game has, even though it's so early on, I think it actually has quite a lot riding on it.
Yeah, I don't mind it. I mean, it is Game of the Week, so I think we should be covering the best game. I don't think this is going to be a good game at all because I think Brisbane's going to get smoked, Tazza. But gee whiz, how bad did they look?
Well, yeah, they were abject. They were awful. I mean, I took great pleasure in watching this game. But Brisbane, it was uncharacteristic. I mean, usually their attack on the ball is, it's first class, and that midfield was meant to be their strength. The additions of Dunkley and Ashcroft to Neil, McCluggage, Berry, all of that, it was just meant to be. It was meant to be the sprinkles on top of the best midfield in the competition, but it was just shattered by a young midfield of poor. And I mean, yeah, I really don't get it. It was woefully inefficient from Brisbane when they could get their hands on the ball and get forward. So, yeah, I think I agree. Brisbane, this could be awful for them, even at the Gabba. I kind of said before the season, I think Brisbane were going to win all, but most. They're going to win most of their games at the Gabba, and they're probably going to win. They're going to lose their first one.
It's problematic, and I don't know what's worse, BT. The fact that they got dominated in the midfield by a team that we both think is mid-table.
You're wrong.
Or the fact, we might be wrong, or the fact that I think this team gave up. And I don't know what's worse, because looking at some of these stats, they were minus 34 in contested possession. That is unheard of, particularly for a team that now has Dunkley and Ashcroft to go with Neil. I mean, it's a really good midfield, but this one, BT, is the one that I can't understand. They were down 127 uncontested possessions. I would need to go back, but I can't remember a time where I've seen a discrepancy like that, particularly from a team that we think is a top 4 contender.
Oh, they didn't look like touching the ball. And when you got these players like Horn Francis, he was doing what he wanted. A second-year player, first year at the club, he was literally doing what he wanted against a Brownlow medalist and this big name in Dunkley coming over from the Bulldogs. Apparently, they were going to dominate this midfield. And Rosie, Horn Francis, Wines did literally what they wanted. When they got the ball, there was so much space to go forward. There was no pressure. There was no pressure at all.
Again, we're not talking about Port Adelaide here. We are trying to talk about Brisbane, but I do just want to add that I did have some inside information from our contact on the ground, Mr. Tom Brown, and sources suggesting that Ken did threaten the ice bath to JHF, and that is the reason that we did see some of the performances that we did from the young fella. So I'm just saying, sources strongly suggesting that Ken is on a mission so far this year. But look, Brisbane very poor, but BT, let's talk about Melbourne a bit, because they looked as good as we thought they were going to be. They, as far as I'm concerned, they're the number 1 contender right now.
Oh, most definitely. Like, we should have had them on top of our table, except it was Taz's fault. But, however, we've spoken about that enough.
Good content.
I don't think we have spoken about that enough, to be honest. That was outrageous that you think they're going to finish 7th.
They're not. I guarantee, this isn't a guarantee, and I never get my guarantees wrong. They're finishing top 2. Guarantee. All money back. They absolutely dominated the Bulldogs. The Bulldogs stood no chance. I reckon it could have been more. Again, it was equivalent to how Port Adelaide beat Brisbane. It was whenever Melbourne got the ball when going forward, they had so much space to hit up these targets. And when you got a Cozzy Pickett, and I'll give it a few more weeks on the De Goey thing as well, because Taz has said Cozzy Pickett's an All-Australian chance.
I like this.
However, he's not playing the next 2 games, as he should be.
That deserves more than 2.
Oh, most definitely. I thought it was going to be at least 4.
Yeah, that's a Byron move right there. That is.
That was a cannonball.
It was. Like he had an outstanding game. Was 19 disposals and 4. I think he kicked from memory.
He did.
Yeah, kick 4.
Yeah. So when you got players like that, and then you add on top of Oliver and Petrarca looked $1 million. Wow, if he plays like that for the whole season, he's up there for a Brownlow as well. So the Bulldogs, they didn't look like they stood a chance against this Melbourne team.
Yeah, so I'm still interested, BT, why this is game of the week, because Melbourne, for me, are going to go up to the Gabba and get it done. No questions asked. So, I mean, do you see this playing out differently?
Come on, mate. If we go back to last season, how many times did I predict the best game of the week? I reckon 80% of the time. I reckon my statistics on that would be pretty high. I reckon I'm going against you. This is a bounce back game for Brisbane.
Ooh.
And
Wow.
I think this is a battle of the midfields, and I think they're gonna the dew factor. We don't talk about conditions, but this dew factor is going to play.
Now you want to talk about conditions.
And I think it's a bounce back game, and I think Brisbane's going to take the chockies in this one.
Yeah. Brisbane need a response.
Yeah,
they absolutely have to come back. It was so bad. I mean, they'll be seething. I don't think there are any major injuries for Brisbane, so they'll regroup. Sorry, and they'll come back out. They'll want blood. So
and my boy Eric Hipwood, he's kicking 6 this week.
Oh, save your bold prediction, mate. I mean, come on. I mean, that's
not my bold prediction. That's not it.
Oh no,
but
that's a guarantee. Money back guarantee.
There you go. Look, if you're a D's fan, if you're a Brisbane fan, you got any thoughts on this game coming up? Let us know in the comments below. According to BT, should be an absolute cracker. You heard it here first, and he's never wrong. So we are certainly looking forward to that one on Friday night.